multilateralism. The United Nations Secretary General has called on us to pay attention to this last decade of action. We have 10 more years, the last 10 years, in order to accelerate implementation of the SDGs. It is his hope that we will in 2020. Areas on which we believe we can build up in the sub-region. In addition, the UN and Uganda, under the technical leadership of UNDP, carried out a comprehensive joint study on the socioeconomic impact of COVID-19, which we have shared with the Ministry of Finance and the Office of the Prime Minister. Some of the key findings, Your Excellency, note that the service and manufacturing sectors will be severely affected and poverty is likely to increase 8 percentage points. Informed by these findings, 10 UN agencies have partnered with Stanbic Bank to complement the government efforts, and we are setting up an economic enterprise restart fund that will provide low-interest financing to support micro and small enterprises, particularly SACCOs and village savings across the country. Through the World Health Organization, we continue to support the Ministry of Health. We've been buying test kits and supporting the building of capacity of laboratories. I am honored to announce on behalf of WHO that an additional 300,000 test kits will be procured in the coming months to reinforce the national capacity. In addition, Your Excellency, last week, with the support of WHO, the Uganda Virus Research Institute is on its way to being recognized as an African Center of Excellence and a regional center for the COVID-19 genome. Your Excellency, business continuity of government during the lockdown by providing virtual collaboration tools and ICT gadgets. We are honored that we are able to participate in key government meetings that are regularly conducted online, including the National Coordination Task Force on COVID, as well as the justice and law sector and local government discussions with districts at the border. Your Excellency, you have promoted private sector, so I'm absolutely delighted to note that we continue to partner with the private sector to make sure that technology enables the small farmers. I'm hence honored to note that UNDP and Jumia Food Uganda have launched an e-commerce platform that is allowing 1,210 vendors and 7 markets in Kampala to connect to their customers. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, the cooperation framework calls upon us to support the government in providing catalytic support on the use of resources to finance your sustainable development. We are honored to note that following the participation of the Right Honorable Prime Minister of the UN General Assembly last year, we are here now able to support Uganda to roll out an integrated national financing framework. It is our hope that this will give a platform for you to see more clearly the full potential of all the financial and non-financial resources available to finance your vision and your development plan. We will also continue to work on the Rwenzori Agri-led. Your Excellency, I hope that you saw on the video, we have now finally completed not just the profiles of the small-scale farmers, but also standard investment profiles that meet international standards for 6 key sectors. This was done in close collaboration with the Uganda Investment Authority and Operation Wealth Creation. Our roundtable on Rwenzori can now be called. Before I conclude, 2 last areas to highlight. The monitoring of efficient delivery. The United Nations is working closely with UBOS in order to roll out a national SDG dashboard that will enable us to monitor delivery of services at the different levels. It would also give inputs to the government annual performance review and help make sure that our joint annual discussions keep track of our promises and addressing the needs of the people. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, I must conclude by making reference to youth skilling and empowerment. Uganda is the second youngest member, is the second member state with the second youngest population in the world. So we will continue to join the government in your efforts to skill the youth. I am delighted to note that the United Nations, in partnership with the National SDG Secretariat, hosted by the Office of the Prime Minister, and the Youth Coalition for SDGs, are undertaking the 1 Million SDG Solutions Innovation Challenge. The challenge aims to create a database of youth with solutions who are ready to change positively lives and can be supported by partners to scale up. In addition to this, Your Excellency, on Youth Day, you launched one of our contributions to this innovation and entrepreneurship facility established by UNDP and Stanbic. So as I conclude, I want to thank the Office of the Prime Minister, the National Planning Authority, the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Local Government, all the other line ministries, development partners, civil society, who have worked with us to make sure that this consultative process was completed even during the COVID-19 lockdown. I reaffirm our commitments to continue working with the government and all stakeholders to ensure that we leave no one behind in Uganda. I thank you for your attention. Your Excellency, before I sit down, I will now hand over to you on behalf of the United Nations system in Uganda, which has gone from having 1,500 staff when we had the UNDAF to having 3,100 staff, of which 60% are Ugandan. So this plaque is in recognition.
Thank you, Excellency Rose Marango, for your remarks and for your leadership of the UN Country team here in Uganda. Your Excellency, before you is the entire UN team in Uganda, leading various agencies. They are all here. accompanying Her Excellency Rose Marango. It's my singular honor to invite Right Honorable Prime Minister Ruhakana Rugunda to give remarks and also invite you to address the nation. Right Honorable.
Your Excellency President Yoweri Museveni, Honorable Ministers, Rosa Marango, the UN Coordinator, and heads of UN agencies, friends, I want to take this opportunity to salute the UN, Government of Uganda, the private sector, and the civil society for having worked closely together to produce the cooperative framework that is being launched today. That degree of cooperation is highly appreciated, and it cements the already excellent working relationship between the people and government of Uganda on the one side and the UN system. We appreciate that. I should point out that this framework agreement or cooperative agreement actually is in line with the third National Development Plan. So it's going to complement and help the implementation of the plan, and will also help in the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. So, Your Excellency, this is a great opportunity when partners of this nature who are doing great work are being recognized, and it's now my great pleasure to request you to say a few words and then launch the framework agreement.
The Right Honorable Prime Minister, the UN Resident Coordinator, Her Excellency Rosa Marango, Uganda's permanent representative at the UN heads of agencies and staff, ladies and gentlemen, I greet all those who are gathered here today, virtually and in person, to witness the launch of the United Nations Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework for Uganda for 2021-2025. I welcome the United Nations commitment and continued support in the acceleration of sustainable development goals and of leaving no one behind in Uganda. I want to appreciate the great collaboration established over the years with the United Nations in Uganda, supporting efforts in governance systems, effective economic management, environmental sustainability, and integrated and effective partnerships within the country and across our borders. The United Nations has partnered with the government and other institutions to address humanitarian needs in refugee hosting districts, as well as in response to mudslides, floods, and locusts. The UN has been a partner in strengthening health responses, including the fight against Ebola, malaria, Marburg, and now COVID-19. I thank the United Nations and the leadership of the UN Resident Coordinator in ensuring that the United Nations development system reform translates into concrete results to achieve 2030 agenda and to enable stronger collaboration and integrated partnerships as I articulated during my strategic dialogue with the UN country team in 2019 in Mbale. It jump-started the cooperation framework consultative process during the launch of the Spotlight Initiative, among other initiatives that I was glad to lead. I want to congratulate the United Nations and appreciate the spirit of partnership and commitment to the future we want, the UN we need, reaffirming our collective commitment to multilateralism. The UN Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework comes at the opportune time to contribute to the National Vision 2040 and the Third National Development Plan 2021 to 2025. I also hope we will further deepen the focus on youth employment, entrepreneurship, and education programs, including access to reproductive health information and services. The process for cooperation framework development came at a bad time when COVID-19 brought widespread economic, social, and human impact. In Uganda, we took early actions in containing the outbreak and flattening the curve of the pandemic. This pandemic has become a test to resilience to many countries and societies. I express appreciation to the United Nations for its critical interventions offered and for the unwavering dedication and support to the government and people of Uganda in these unprecedented times. When I met with the UN leadership in Mbale in July last year, we discussed the 11 bottlenecks Africa has been facing and how we can work together to address them as follows. These bottlenecks were our own summary of what we saw as the problems that Africa has been facing actually for a long time. And when we distilled them and shared them with the OAU, the African Union, they also adopted them. Just to repeat this, bottleneck number one has been ideological disorientation. Many of the problems in Africa are caused by a wrong definition of what the problem is. You can hear the chaos going on in so much of Africa. And this is because, in our view, of ideological disorientation, a misdiagnosis of the problems. These include sectarianism of tribe and religion, as well as gender chauvinism. This is problem number one. Because in many African countries, they spend time looking at identity. Who are you? Which tribe? Which religion? Are you a man or a woman? They don't look at your interest, at the interests. And this is where the national resistance movement differed with our groups here in the 1960s, especially 1965. For them, they were talking about what tribe, what religion. Are you a man or a woman? We said, but these don't answer the problem of what am I going to eat? Because I need food. I need a job. I need a market for my products. So if you tell me who I am biologically or culturally, how does that solve my problem? Because I need food, I need shelter, I need a job, I need a market for my products, especially me who is a milk producer. I want to know how many people buy my milk, not how many members of my tribe, because they don't solve my problem. So this is problem number one. And we are saying that you cannot solve this problem of Africa by just picking one dimension and you run around with it. The second, especially in the 1960s, was the problem of the African leaders not understanding the importance of the private sector. Many of them are Christians, but they have not read the Bible very well. This is because 2,000 years ago, Jesus now, he pointed out the problem of the hired shepherd. He said that if a shepherd is hired, the sheep are not his. He's an employee. When the wolf comes, because the sheep are not his, he runs away. And the sheep are eaten by the wolf. But if he's the owner of the sheep, he will fight with the wolf. Even if the wolf kills him, did not see it in the 1960s. That is how you get people like Idi Amin chasing our Indians here. Because our Indians were a very, very active private sector group. But Idi Amin did not understand this. He looked at their color. They were brown. But they were actually doing more Uganda than all the blacks combined. Because they were producing sugar, producing soap, producing the Indians that time. So the mishandling of the private sector in the 1960s was a big mistake. Of course, the African leaders had not listened to what Jesus said 2,000 years ago. They had also missed what Adam Smith said much later in 1776. So we really lost time. I'm very glad that the NRM, when we came, we were able to take a very firm stand here. The private sector must lead the economy. And given our credentials, the credentials of our group, our movement, nobody could say these are puppets, because this is the problem. Some of the people are puppets. They sing other people's tunes. But here we sing our tune, and when we speak, and when we spoke, many in Africa understood the importance of the private sector. And that problem has sort of been solved. Although now the private sector is still disturbed by corruption now. In the past, it was disturbed by policy. Policy-wise, African leaders were anti-private sector because they looked at it as if they were thieves. They had an idea that that the government could run business better than the private sector. It was an ideological, even philosophical misunderstanding. What makes man work? Can you make all the people in society work for altruism? Yes, a few of us, like myself, I can work for altruism. And that's what I've been doing for all my life. But and Mother Teresa, there was a woman in Calcutta, Mother Teresa. But those of us are a minority. And when you are planning for society, you don't plan for the minority. You plan for the majority who are here, who I understand most of them are selfish. They only work for themselves. When they work for themselves, they work hardest. So this was another, now it is no longer a policy instrument blocking private sector, but now it is more corruption and also not facilitating the private sector well. So that is also another. Fortunately, here we have handled this, and we have put quite a lot of money on the roads. We have put a lot of money in the electricity. We now have some discussion with one of the dams. And that's where ideologically we should really all converge. You see, for instance, like one of the dams, Bujagari. Now, the problem is that when you build an electricity dam with private money, the private people want to recover their money. So that means the interest, especially if it is expensive money, now that distorts they used the religion is more important. Don't welcome you to do something. Uganda will not be part of those. Party which gets majority. They couldn't get a party which could win more than 50%. they have started working out. So that's where the market is. So you find here, there's too much sugar. In other places, there is no sugar. Here, there is too much food. In other places, there is hunger. So therefore, the issue of market. So when the UN, you are working with us